Before we get started with the video, I know what you're gonna say. Julian, you're already doing a read-along of Jenna's book, and now you're doing a reaction to one of her latest videos. Are you obsessed with her or something? Geez, get a life. Look, listen, it's not my fault she decided to post a video about characters right at the same time as I was doing the read-along. Don't worry, next week I'll go back to talking about the one person we all really care about, me. If you're too worried that I'm getting up in Jenna's business, you can go back and just watch her videos a whole bunch of times and give her more views and just be happy. We ain't here to bully her, but we are here to talk about the writing advice that she freely gives for people to talk about on YouTube, alright? I didn't break into her house and steal this. She put this video up. I'm gonna react to it.
Hello again. We are in my office. Sorry the lighting sucks, but we are here where I do all of my video editing because today we're going to be doing another reaction video. This time I'm not reacting to myself. I'm reacting to the illustrious Jenna Moresi, the Cyborg Queen herself. If you're new to my channel, I talk about writing and reading and basically all things to do with stories. I'm an author myself. You can purchase my book if you want, or don't if you don't want. I'm not your mom. And I'm not your cyborg queen either. I enjoy some of Jenna's videos. She is a little bit more of a sort of babies first kind of author, creator. She doesn't go super deep into a lot of stuff, so she's a really good gateway drug for people kind of finding their way into AuthorTube. And honestly, I don't really need her advice too much anymore because I've kind of grown past that, but I still enjoy her videos sometimes. Her style is really snarky, and I absolutely laughed my ass off with the one that she did that was like top 10 terrible tips for writing romance or whatever, I think it was. But then she posts top 10 terrible tips for writing characters, and I'm like, because I am a character writer. I may not be good at everything, but I'm pretty good at characters. And in my opinion, Jenna is not. Okay, we don't have to share that opinion. Some people absolutely love her characters, but I am a character writer. Characters are where it's at for me. And so I see this video go up and I'm like, Jenna, you want to come into my house and tell me my business? So I knew I had to do a reaction to it. I have not watched it, so you and I are going to go in completely blind together, and that'll be a fun time, I hope. If you are such a Cyborg Queen fan that you absolutely cannot stand to see her opinion disagreed with in any way, then this video will probably give you heartburn and make you sad. So I recommend watching something else. I have a shit ton of videos on my channel, so if you want to find out about me but you don't want this side of me, there's so much else to watch. Man, the lighting in here makes my skin look fucking green. Maybe she's the Cyborg Queen and I'm an alien. Who knows?
Alright, here we are. We are ready to react to Jenna's video about how not to write characters, because this is going to be one of her very sarcastic ones. You know, I love me some sarcasm. We're going to cut out things like if she spends time like promoting her book or doing an ad read or something, we're going to cut that out. We're just going to focus on the reaction. Gotta say, her background, I love all of the art and stuff. People like should send me more fan art for me and I'll put it in my background. Play.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
There's
Jenna.
a ton of bad writing advice floating around the internet.
Sure is.
And truthfully, a lot of it comes from people who haven't actually finished a written project, which...
To be clear, I have finished multiple projects. I have 2 self-published books. I have 2 books that are querying right now. So if you want to know the baseline of where you're at with me, I have finished so many books. So many that are just on the back burner, like so many that are just practice. So that's where I'm at. This is a great look for you, Jenna. I'm sorry. I'm going to be stopping her at all the wrong places. I apologize in advance.
to be fair, checks out. And there's some especially bad writing advice when it comes to creating characters. You don't give any character advice, do you? Oh, thank you. You give kisses. You give kisses. Today, I'm breaking down the 10 worst tips I've seen for creating characters. You've probably seen some of this advice before, maybe on Reddit, probably came from someone's mom's basement. You know the type. Don't implement any of these tips unless you want your characters to blow major ass.
Okay, so I cut out a ad read there, just in case anyone's wondering.
I'm going to break down the 10 tips for creating characters that you should never, under any circumstances, implement, because they're terrible.
Is it good advice? No, it's terrible advice. Wah!
If you want more writing advice,
Her dog is really fucking cute. I can't with that dog. I want to snuggle it.
be sure to subscribe to my channel and ring that bell. I post videos on Wednesdays as well as bonus content on Mondays, and sometimes Buttercup shows up and graces us with her fluffy presence. And don't forget my dark fantasy romance novel, The Savior's Sister, is out right now. You can get it in ebook, paperback, and hardback at all major retailers. I have the links listed below.
And don't forget, I'm doing a read-along of The Savior's Sister here on my channel. It's already started. It goes up every Monday, so you know what to do.
On to the shitty advice in 3, 2, 1, go. Number 1, wing it. The best character is the one you put no thought into whatsoever. Character profiles, character boards, character face claims, all trash. Who cares if it's vital to have an understanding of your character's personality and behaviors? Who cares if characters are one of the top reasons readers pick up books in the first place? It's not like human beings are complex, layered creatures whose personalities and lifestyles are easily affected by compelling forces like trauma, upbringing, family, and even race or gender. And there definitely aren't entire fields of study devoted to understanding even a small segment of this information, let alone humanity as a whole.
So I don't know when she's going to get on to the next point. I'm going to stop her here. So I agree and I don't agree. One of my biggest disagreements with Jenna, obviously, is that she is a rigid plotter and I am a loosey-goosey, fly by the seat of my pants pantser. And she comes for pantsers all the time. I don't know. Did a pantser beat her up in grade school? I just don't understand why she hates them so much. But she always comes for them, and this is a little bit that, but not as aggressive as she usually gets. I agree that you should know your characters really, really well. I also don't think you need to have any of that. I don't ever have a character board or like profiles or any of that shit. And I know my characters really well. And like I said, characters are where it's at. So like when you come into my house, so you don't need any of that complicated stuff. You don't need it. It's not necessary. You do, though, I agree, have to know your characters really well. I get to know them by writing them. And sometimes they come like fully formed. Sometimes they take a little while. I knew she was going to come for pantsers. So I did want to say that her channel is geared towards plotters. I wish she would just say that outright. Like that she would just say, this is a writing channel for plotters. Because I have had multiple people PM me on Twitter and Instagram and say, hey, Julian, it's nice to hear you say that you don't have to be a plotter, because I watch people like Jenna and they make me feel terrible about my writing process. They make me feel like I'm doing it wrong, like I'm an idiot. And I'm like, no, it's just because Jenna's advice is only for plotters, and she never admits that. She makes it sound like her advice is for everyone. If you want to plot, that's great. That's wonderful. That's how you do it. That's not how I do it, and it's fine. Both of them work. I do agree, though. You do need to know your characters really well if they're going to be solid characters. But I think perhaps you might run into some trouble if you're so rigid. Again, I think she is a very rigid plotter, so she's never there for a surprise if a character starts to act a different way. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Let's get back to this.
If you want to guarantee you've written a solid character, make them up as you go along. Think of all the inconsistencies
I
as
do
a
make them up
charming
as I
little
go
guessing
along.
game for your reader. Number 2, emulate. Want to write but lack creativity? Then now's the perfect time to emulate. You only got into writing because you were obsessed with the Wheel of Time anyway. Now you're gonna duplicate.
Is she coming for the Wheel of Time? Is she coming for... She already has said she doesn't like Lord of the Rings, which I'm sure has gotten her some enemies, but now she's coming for the Wheel of Time.
It from top to bottom, starting with your characters. The great part about this is it's easy. You take a popular fictional character and then change 1, maybe 2 traits. Bonus points if those 2 changed traits are also your traits. For example, he used to be the Witcher, now he's the Witcher and an incel. Nailed it! Instead of Bilbo Baggins, you're unleashing Dildo Grabbins. Instead of writing Harry Potter, you're whipping out Harry Pooter.
It just seems like she's telling you how to not design your D&D character. These all sound like D&D characters that she's coming up with. When somebody's like, oh shit, I'm playing D&D tonight and I haven't designed my character. Now he's Bilbo Grabbins or whatever she said. I don't know that too many people do this. I haven't encountered it very often. Maybe it happens more than I think it does with novice writers, but that said, here's a big old asterisk. I know Jenna doesn't really like fan fiction, but having an established character and working with that character can be a great way to practice. Practice, not put in your published book, but practice writing characters because someone else has already figured out a lot of the details for you. So now you can practice writing with that. And then as you get better at that, you can start figuring out your own characters yourself. And because you have practiced those skills with fan fiction, then you can go ahead and use those skills when you're writing your own characters. So I will put an asterisk on that.
Character creation doesn't need to involve thought or invention. After all, popular media only exists to be vaguely but not legally plagiarized. Number 3, self-insert. But Jenna, I don't want to write an original story.
Okay, this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion, okay? Jenna is the queen of self-insert. Layla is Jenna. Fight me. It's true. Layla is Jenna, Tobias is boy Jenna, and she was also the main character in Eve the Awakening. Eve, duh. She was also Eve. If she would admit that she struggles with this, then we could keep going, you know? She could be like, I struggle sometimes with self-insert. And I'd be like, cool, okay, that's cool. Every author struggles with something. You understand your own failings and we can move on. But she will never ever admit that her main characters are all such wish fulfillment self-inserts.
I just want to create a world where I can fulfill my greatest fantasies.
That's what fanfiction is for, baby.
Have I got a solution for you? Introducing self-inserts, the easiest characters to write because they're you.
Now, she's throwing a lot of shade at self-insert, but pretty much everybody does it when they start out. Because you know yourself the best, it's going to be the character that you create first. Now, this is why I say you shouldn't publish your first book that you've ever written. I'm not just talking first draft. I'm talking first book that you've ever written. Don't publish it. Because odds are good that there's a self-insert in there that you don't even realize. So just keep practicing and you'll lean away from self-inserts. I feel like self-inserts are a natural part of the growing process as a writer. You just have to realize that when you start out, they're probably going to be there and you're just going to have to keep practicing and grow past them.
Except better in every way. Tired of never getting the girl? Then write a self-insert, and you'll always get the girl. At least if she's fictional. You always wanted to be respected, but instead of behaving in a way that garners success, simply write yourself into a book as a wizard, a royal, or a wealthy heir adored by all. Fictional love feels almost as good as the real thing.
If you want to do this in fan fiction, though, fucking enjoy yourself. Go ahead. Self-insert as much as you want. You big, beautiful freaks.
Self-inserts are the perfect character because absolutely no one can relate to them. We don't have massive titties that defy gravity, and we actually have to have some semblance of a personality if we want to get laid.
The reason self-inserts don't have personalities is because the author doesn't realize that they haven't given them one. Because you know yourself really well, you assume that you're getting that across on the page when you're really not. And again, that just comes with practice.
But self-inserts don't have that limitation, do they? Self-inserts, because achieving your goals in the real world is too damn hard. Number 4, cast so white. I see you got 20 characters there, and all of them are white. Wow, such creativity.
Jenna does have brown people in her stories. They're there. I will be talking about why that might be a little bit problematic in her current book when you get there in my read-along. Look out for it.
Ever did you manage? White people only make up a fraction of the world's population, so it makes complete sense that they make up 100% of your cast. And what about queer characters, neurodivergence, physical disability?
Oh dear. I also talk about how she writes a neurodivergent character, and that's how I find that to be also deeply, deeply problematic in my read-along, so stay tuned for that as well. But she's not wrong. She's not wrong about this point. Just because she's not good at it herself doesn't mean she's wrong about this point, in that, yes, you 100% should include different colored skin of your characters and also different sexuality, people who are neurodiverse, like you should 1000% mix it up, and I agree with her. Just because I don't think she did a good job doesn't mean I disagree with this point.
Ability or body diversity.
Oh no, she has no body diversity. None. She's got like one chubby guy and she mocks him mercilessly. But yes, you should also have that. I agree with the point, just not the fact that she ever achieved it.
Well, all of your characters are cis, white, neurotypical, able-bodied human beings.
And to be clear, just because she didn't achieve it in her book doesn't mean that she can't give the advice. That's the other big thing, is that you can see what a book needs, but not be able to implement it yourself. Again, that's just something that comes with practice. And I'm hoping as Jenna writes more, she will get a bit better at all of that stuff. I'm not a master at it either, but you just get better with time, and she's not there yet. But that doesn't mean she can't see that that's a thing that we need, and she can't tell us that that's a thing that we need.
Perfect. I literally don't know a single person who fits that description, but I totally believe that 20 of them exist in your book. Besides, 2 of those 20 characters are women. Not 1, but 2. A whole 10%. You're really making a statement. Talk about wokeness to the max. I bet they even have agency. Give this neckbeard a trophy. Number 5, one dimension is enough. Layers are for onions, not people. When crafting a character, all you need is one trait.
Again, this is something she struggles with demonstrably in her books, and I think she just needs to explore her writing a little bit more to realize the places where she's done this, because her characters, in my opinion, are complete cardboard cutouts with 1 or 2 traits max. But she can still give the advice, because she can still know that it's a good thing. She's just not, in my opinion, good at implementing it.
Some archetype or box to shove your character into. Is your character a healer?
I think that might also come with giving characters a list of traits. Giving them a list of traits might kind of lock it in your brain that these are the things they are, and it might inadvertently lock in that they can't ever do anything surprising or change or be deeper, because you've already decided these are the 5 traits that make up Tobias, and never shall he stray from them. And that's kind of dangerous. Again, I would never write down what are the traits of my characters. People ask me, well, what are some traits of your main character? And I'm like, I don't know, they're a person. They're a human, they have lots of traits.
Congratulations, they get to heal people. That's it. Is your leading lady a cheerleader? Then keep her as peppy and one-note as possible and you're good to go. This practice can apply to any trait. Your hero must be heroic. Your damsel must be
I do have a video if anyone's interested about writing deep side characters, so go check that one out, see if it helps you at all. I don't know, it might be useful. Or not, whatever. I'm not your mom.
Stressed. And don't forget, if your character is a person of color, LGBTQ+, or from any marginalized group at all, that is the only dimension they need.
Yeah, I mean, she's right. If you've got a black character, their only character trait cannot be, is black.
Skin color can totally be.
Same with writing women. Their only character trait cannot be, is woman.
Personality trait. Just like sexuality or mental illness. My singular trait is generalized anxiety disorder. You can tell because I'm a fucking mess.
What's my single personality trait? Ooh, it could be so many things. Crabby. Crabby is my personality trait. I have the one. It's crabby.
Number 6, write what you know. And only what you know. If you don't have the same exact traits as your characters, how will you ever expect to understand them? It's not like basic deduction, comprehension, and empathy exist. It's also not like we can just listen to people share their experiences and learn from their journeys. But Jenna, writers write about werewolves, wizards, and serial killers all the time. That's because those writers are werewolves, wizards, and serial killers.
She's not wrong. I'm actually a trickster god. I don't mean to alarm anyone, but that's what I am. Anyway, this point is fine. Like, she's right. There's a lot of fear within the writing community that if you write outside of, like if you're a straight person, if you write a gay person, that's wrong. But really the problem is that you haven't researched it well enough. You haven't spoken to gay people. If you don't have any gay friends, you're going to have to seek them out. It's not a writer must write of which he knows. It's a writer must write of which he is able to research.
Hello! How else are they going to understand those characters? Certainly not through research or thinking. I only write about 33-year-old caustic women who own their own business and loathe humanity at large because a fedora on Reddit told me that's the only character I'm qualified to write.
She's definitely using the straw man of like nice guys on Reddit. I don't know, possibly she just gets a lot of hassle from guys being like, show me your titties in her DMs or whatever, because that's how people are on the internet. She is using that as a very heavy straw man, which does conveniently separate her actual viewership from any of this. And I don't know if that's great. I think we need to look at it and be like, if you've done this in your writing, if you've accidentally, say, reduced a female character to is woman, you have to be able to look at it, see it in your own writing, and go, oh, oopsie, I've made a mistake and now I will fix it. You can't always prevent it. You have to be able to look at your stuff and be like, yeah, that's where I went wrong. And if you think that those things only happen to neckbeards on the internet who are writing terrible self-inserts, then you're not going to look for it in your own writing.
A walking piece of shit. In fact, for every good trait your character has, you should add 2 to 3 flaws to balance it out. Your main character has table manners, but they're also cruel, abusive, and misogynistic. That's a hero I can depend on. Remember, a good character is a character with one positive trait hidden in a sea of diarrhea.
I mean, I completely agree with this. I think a lot of people lean too hard on characters being sort of caustic nowadays and being edgy and being grumpy, and I love a kind character. I'm 1000% here for cinnamon rolls. So yeah, I agree with this point for sure.
Bare minimum ethical standards don't exist in the real world, so they shouldn't exist in your fictional world. Number 8, treat every character like the main character. We already covered that it takes time and care to craft a character. Or maybe we covered the exact opposite. I really don't care. But some writers wonder, do I need to create a Milanote board for every single one of my characters? The best rule of thumb is to treat all of your characters like the main character. Every single one. The villain? Of course, they're an important character. Chart the shit out of them. The love interest? Absolutely! A lot of readers read books for the love interest alone. The friend of a friend who drives the main character to school one time? Duh, their tumultuous backstory is relevant to nothing at all. The background character that has one line and is never even given a name? Especially them. You need to know every detail of their torrid love affairs and
Again, I feel this is something Jenna struggles with a little bit. At least in TSS, there are too many characters. They all have names. They all have descriptions. I would par this way back. So I think she does also struggle a little bit with making her side characters a little bit too much like main characters sometimes. This isn't a huge sin, but you do have to be careful about it, like she's saying.
golden shower kinks. Some people think this advice maybe shouldn't be taken so literally, but those people need to die in a fire. Character charts for every single character, or I'm calling the police.
If you want to do this for all of your side characters, you're completely allowed. Like, if that sounds like fun and you just want to get to know all of these side characters for your own personal enjoyment, do it. Like, no one can stop you. The problem is when it gets to be where you're actually writing these characters and all of a sudden you feel the need to tell your reader about all of this stuff that you've done to this side character you only see once. Then it's a problem. You can chart as much as you want about your side characters if that's something that brings you joy. You just have to keep it off of the page.
Number 9, you only get one comic relief. Only one, because it's not like funny people exist in droves. Listen, this is literature. It's not supposed to be realistic or relatable to real life. You're allowed to write one funny character, and it's their job to shove obnoxious jokes down the reader's throat and then disappear from the plot until the next force feeding. I know the comic relief is usually the most annoying, hated character in the book, but they need to exist, because
It's important to figure out each of your character's voice, or at least each of your main characters. And if their voice is one that would allow them to be funny, then let them be funny.
Disney said so. And no other character is allowed to be funny under any circumstance, because a sense of humor is an extremely rare trait. It's right up there with mansplaining and sexual activity.
Here we go again. I don't know what this straw man is that she's got, but it exists.
And number 10, fuck the villain. Not literally. Unless he's hot, then probably. You don't need to put any thought into creating the villain. They're the villain. They're evil. Boom, you're done. Evil is their single motivation. Evil is their sole character trait. Evil is the driving force of their entire being.
Okay, this she really struggles with this in her own writing. Again, she can give the advice, but she never admits that she struggles with it, because I don't think she knows that she does. Her villains are the most one-note, mwahaha evil villains I have read in a long time.
What else is there to figure out? Backstory, intention, personality, and weakness? None of that is relevant to the villain. They're just there to laugh maniacally and then reveal their entire plan in an unprompted monologue. Don't waste your time crafting an original, complex villain, because those don't exist.
Remember when you're writing a villain that everyone is a hero in their own story? You've probably heard that advice before, but unless your villain is like, oh, say a creeping cloud of evil, which it totally could be. If you've got a human-esque villain with a mind, probably give them a little bit of something.
So that's all I got for you today. If you didn't catch that, while all of this advice is definitely floating around the internet, it's also terrible.
Now, as she's saying that this advice is terrible, I'm sorry about this freeze frame, Jenna, she often forgets to mention that her advice is also not the be-all and end-all of advice. My preference is if she would make it clearer that she's just sharing what she has learned along the way, and you can take it or leave it, because that's what you should do with any of us. Any of us giving advice out there. None of us are the god of writing. I may be the trickster god of writing now, as I've just decided. So none of us are going to give you hard and fast, works 100% of the time advice. I'm sorry, it's true. Not even the Cyborg Queen can give you that. So just keep an eye out for that. As you watch her, if you look at something that she says and you're like, that will not work for me, then maybe it's just not for you.
Please don't implement any of these tips into your writing. Plan your characters, give them layers and dimension, make them diverse and relatable.
Okay, so I think she's just going to do the rest of this as another sort of ad read and do her goodbyes and everything. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this was entertaining. It's probably long. I'm just sharing my thoughts. I am but a humble YouTuber, and you guys can disagree with my thoughts. That's fine too. I do have a rule here on this channel though. Any slurs or abuse or threatening me or telling me to kill myself will be deleted. So if you want to disagree with me, you have to do it in a coherent and intelligent way. Thank you for playing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this brought you joy. I post new videos twice weekly, at least, here on my channel. If you're feeling like you'd like to read a book and give a snarky review, mine is available. You can also support me over on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive content not seen here on the regular channel. And you can follow me on all my social media, linked in the doobly-doo. I will see you guys next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye! Well, hey, did you come here looking for patrons? Well, you're in luck, because I have a list of the best patrons in the world right here in my hand. They are Patrick, and Sophie, Callison, Ray, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Ryakio, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Lennox. That's right, you don't need to look any further. These are the best patrons. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about.
Who cares if you disagree? You are not me. Who made you king of anything? So you dare tell me who to be? Who died and made you king of anything?